Okay, today is May 12th, and I wanted to get out here and make this video before I got ready for church. Funny how this goes with the message, but it was just pouring really hard, and I had to wait to come out here for it to stop raining because I did not want to bring my Bible out here while it was raining, so I didn't want to get it wet. So I'm going to get started. I mentioned before in like 2 videos ago that I kept seeing the number 8, and then in my dream I saw the number 8 and heard the word 8. And 8 in the Strong's Concordance, I didn't write which one, if it was Greek or Hebrew, but it means destruction. And then also that 8 people were on Noah's Ark. I also heard in my sleep meaningful rainbow. I heard prepare for rain, and my oldest daughter had recently called me about a week and a half ago, and she was just having a random conversation with me, and she started mentioning some floods that happened in San Francisco that I had not heard about. And then every Thursday is our trash day, and this is important because when I go walking in the morning, and this started around the end of February 24th, 25th, is when I started documenting it. And the first time I was like, I should be smelling stinky trash because I'm walking on the sidewalk and everybody's trash can is right by me. So I should be smelling just everybody's stink trash. But I was consistently smelling something sweet. Like, the smell was just like fragrant, and I was like, wow, it smells great out here. It was such a weird thing to say as I'm walking past trash cans. And it reminded me, I used to have this honey face mask, like a sheet mask. I showed it on here once before, but I don't have those anymore. I haven't had them in a while, and they just smelled like honey, and that's kind of what it reminded me of, just this nice smell. And I was led to a Strong's number 701, which means pleasing. So it was a pleasing smell. I did not smell the stinky trash. I smelled a pleasing smell that I enjoyed. Then I heard the phrase when I was coming out here, promises made, promises kept. And then also when I go on the walks, there is a back part of the neighborhood that was recently developed in the last few years, but on the other end of that is just field and like property, vacant land. It still has, wild turkeys out there, which I'll get into a video about turkeys soon. But the water drains from that land, and when I get to a certain area, I cannot cross over the water. It is so much, and so I have to figure out a way to go. And God kept making me notice these storm drains. And so as I was walking, I realized, oh, the best way to go is for me to just go the opposite direction like a block, and then there is a big storm drain there that drains into the sewer, kind of like that movie It, where the little red balloon comes out of the water. So one of those kind of drains. So that's the only spot I can cross, and I have to just walk a different way. So what I'm getting at is I have been paying attention to this quote unquote flooded area that I cannot cross. So more about flood stuff. And then my daughter started asking me about floods recently and talked about destroying the earth with a flood. And I had to say, well, no, God promised that he wouldn't destroy the earth with floods, but we'll still have floods. I mean, there's a place called Louisiana, we talked about that, they have floods a lot. So that was the first time I mentioned Louisiana to her about the floods. And then my dad was randomly talking about something, and he mentioned Louisiana, but nothing to do with floods, but Louisiana caught my attention again. And then I saw a YouTube short where a girl was talking about where she met her husband, and it was in Louisiana. So that just triple confirmed what was going on in my train of thought that God was placing into my head, flood stuff. Then my husband, because guys, I hardly ever watch the news. I don't have social media except for this YouTube account. So, and then YouTube when I'm just mindlessly scrolling sometimes. My husband goes, hey, did you hear about Saudi Arabia and how they are having all this rain and this flood? And he made a specific comment that that triggered my attention, because he said they created this rain and now it won't stop and it's flooding. But in the news articles, they're talking about, oh, don't blame, because I looked it up before I came out here, don't blame this weather problem on cloud seeding. So this is like something they do to create rain. And so the news is saying don't blame it on that. But I'm going to share a dream that kind of leans on the side of artificial things. Also, I heard the phrase make it rain, and then as I wrote make it rain, I was led to Strong's Hebrew 539, which means to confirm. So confirming about strange weather happening, and some of it not being all godly created, or maybe human created, if that makes sense. So in this dream, I'm driving, or I'm riding in a car, and I'm looking out at the sky, and I see this beautiful, beautiful rainbow. And when I say beautiful, I cannot describe the vivid colors that I see. It is not like any color that I can just whip out my crayons or anything and start coloring these colors. It is beautiful, and I want to use the word glittery. I can't describe it, but I was like, wow, that is the most beautiful rainbow I've ever seen in my life. And then I drive to a church, and I guess it's my church, or the church I'm going to in my dream. It does not resemble my physical church in real life at all. So I'm there, and I look over and I see something like this. Guys, I sketched this really fast, so please don't judge my artistic abilities on this. So in this picture, here is, you'll see some background stuff because I'm going to flip it over. So in this picture, this is the sky, and I'm standing at the church, so I can see this. It's almost like I can touch it. These are stepping stones, like pavers, and they have like shells on them or stones, but some of them are worn off because of the amount of water that's pouring out of this sky, and it comes out like a river, just flowing down these steps. And then I turn and I am talking to someone about the rain, and I was like, wow, did you see that beautiful rainbow? And she's like, yeah, I saw that rainbow. But then when I glance back over at this water that was coming out, I see this. It looked like a tube slide, like when you go to the park, but they tried to make it look like a rainbow. But the colors were those awful playground colors that are just bold. And I kept seeing Albert Einstein, because the way I described this in my journal was, it reminded me of that toy brand, Little Einsteins. So when my oldest daughter was little, they had toys, and they specifically were like, oh, kids can see blacks and reds. So they really focused in on those bold primary colors. And that's kind of what this looked like. And I told the woman, I was like, what is that? That's not a rainbow. She goes, oh yeah, that's a rainbow. And I'm like, no. And I walk over and I touch it, and it is a tube slide, but the water is still coming through. They're just trying to hide it behind this tube slide that they painted to look like a rainbow. And then she goes on to like say she's gonna pull some figure out of her pocket and pray about it. And I was like, no, don't pray to a figure. And that was it. That was the end of the dream. So I don't really know that last part, but that is what was in my dream. And then some songs I was led to was a song called Forever Rain by RM. It's not really the lyrics, it's just I couldn't stop singing it. I'm like, what is that song called? It's called Forever Rain. And then I heard another song by V of BTS, and that song title is called Rainy Days. And then in prayer last night, I was singing Rain, Rain, Go Away, Come Again Some Other Day. And then I can't remember if it was like late last night or early this morning, I heard It's Raining, It's Pouring, The Old Man Is Snoring. And then I was led to a song called Life Goes On by BTS, and the lyric translates to, it looks like rain again today. I'm soaked to the bone, it still won't stop. And so that's all the stuff that God was leading me to about rains and floods and to prepare for rain. Right now in my head, the word rain boots just popped into my head. So I'm going to get to scripture, and we know the story of Noah's Ark and the flood, but I was specifically led to Genesis 8 verse 21, and it said, "The Lord smelled a pleasing aroma and said in his heart, never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood, and never again will I destroy all the living creatures as I have done." And this is verse 22. "As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease." And then I'm going to skip down to chapter 9, verses 12 through 16. "And God said, this is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between all you and all living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures and every kind of earth." Oh, I'll just read 17 also. It says, "So God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all life on earth." So again, he promised that he won't destroy and kill and wipe out the earth with a flood again. But we do have floods, and that happens, but he has kept his promise. We have not all been completely destroyed by the flood. But anyways, so that's the scripture. I said "but" there because I want to emphasize that's the promise that he made, but also is telling us to prepare for this flooding. Whether it's going to happen now or continue to happen or how long it's going to happen, I have no idea. I'm just a person. I'm just sharing with you what was brought to my attention. So anyways, guys, always find the light. Thanks. Bye.